The ancient Sumerian tablets, collectively known as the EdenArchive, don't just chronicle history, they lay bare a staggering, cyclical prophecy detailing the precise trajectory of human civilization right up to our present moment and beyond. This isn't a collection of cryptic predictions found in isolation, but a deeply interwoven tapestry of cuneiform texts whose full implications are only now beginning to be understood, revealing patterns that mirror our modern world with unnerving precision. From millennia, the cradles of civilization in Mesopotamia gave rise to unparalleled advancements, but it was their profound understanding of cosmic and human cycles that truly set them apart. The Sumerians, pioneers of writing, astronomy, and law, perceived the universe not as linear, but as an elegant, repeating drama. Within the vast libraries unearthed from ancient cities like and Nineveh, certain tablets, once categorized as mere mythological narratives or king lists, have yielded a far deeper, more unsettling message upon closer examination. Imagine the quiet reverence surrounding a newly retranslated clay cylinder, its surface covered in the tight, meticulous wedge marks of cuneiform. This isn't the familiar Gilgamesh epic, nor a simple account of harvests. Instead, a series of texts, some fragmentary, others astonishingly preserved, appear to describe not merely the past, but the inevitable consequences of specific human choices, echoing across epochs. Scholars have come to refer to this collection as the EdenArchive, not for a literal garden, but for the fundamental human narratives it explores. What did these earliest scribes record that transcended their own time? Initially, interpretations focused on the more obvious narratives, the rise and fall of powerful cities, the cyclical deluge, the eternal struggle between order and chaos. But as researchers delved past the surface, mapping the intricate mythological and astronomical correlations, a chilling underlying architecture began to emerge. These weren't just stories, they were blueprints for humanity's journey through time, rooted in spiritual principles. The central thread woven through the EdenArchive is the concept of a recurring pattern of separation. It speaks of a time when humanity lives in harmony with creation, followed by a gradual drift, a turning away from inherent spiritual truths in pursuit of material dominion and individual gratification. This isn't framed as a moral judgment, but as an observable, inevitable consequence of certain collective decisions, a cascade effect through generations. One passage, for example, describes the Great Severing, where the bonds of kinship and communal purpose weaken, replaced by a thirst for personal power and fleeting pleasures. It speaks of voices, once united in common cause, becoming discordant, each striving to be heard above the din. Could this be a chillingly accurate foresight of our increasingly fragmented societies, where digital connections often replace genuine human communion, and the pursuit of individual fulfillment overshadows collective well-being? The texts also allude to the diminishing light, a period where ancient wisdom is forgotten or deliberately obscured. Knowledge, once shared freely for the benefit of all, becomes fragmented, hoarded, or dismissed as superstition. We are living in an age of unprecedented information, yet there's a palpable sense that fundamental truths, spiritual anchors, are harder than ever to grasp, often drowned out by noise or dismissed by intellectual arrogance. Was this decline predicted, a natural consequence of prioritizing the tangible over the transcendent? But the archive is not entirely devoid of hope. It doesn't paint a picture of inescapable doom, but rather of cycles and choices. The narrative suggests that each great turning point, each severing, presents humanity with a renewed opportunity to remember, to reevaluate, to choose a different path. It's a profound recognition of free will, even within a seemingly predetermined framework of patterns. The question, then, is whether we recognize the signs. Of course, interpreting texts thousands of years old is fraught with peril. The language, the cultural context, the very worldview of the Sumerians are vastly different from our own. Are we merely projecting our contemporary anxieties onto ancient clay tablets? Or is there a universal pattern to human experience, an archetypal narrative of ascent and descent, that these earliest civilizations understood with remarkable clarity? The scientific community remains divided, and rightfully so, on the specific prophetic claims. Yet the resonance is undeniable. Consider the Sumerian emphasis on the balance between humanity and nature, a recurring motif throughout the archive. Their warnings against excessive resource extraction, against the pollution of waters and the defilement of sacred lands, echo with startling relevance today. They describe a deep reverence for the earth as a living entity and the consequences of treating it merely as a resource to be plundered. Is this a sophisticated ecological foresight, or simply an ancient wisdom we have forgotten? The EdenArchive also speaks of periods of immense confusion where truth becomes subjective and trust erodes between leaders and the populace. It describes a society where external appearances hold more sway than inner integrity, leading to a pervasive sense of unease and cynicism. Sound familiar? It's as if they observed the seeds of these patterns in their own nascent civilizations and projected their ultimate, inevitable flowering thousands of years into the future. What if the Sumerians, through their intricate astronomical observations and profound spiritual insights, simply recognized the immutable laws governing both the cosmos and human consciousness? They saw the stars in their predictable dance, the seasons in their relentless rhythm, and perhaps they extrapolated these cyclical truths to the human condition itself. Perhaps what we call prophecy is simply a deep understanding of cause and effect applied across vast stretches of time. This isn't about fortune-telling in the modern sense. It's about a fundamental understanding of human nature and its relationship to the divine and natural order. The EdenArchive, if interpreted through this lens, becomes less a book of future events and more a profound spiritual mirror. It reflects back to us the consequences of our collective choices, illuminating the path we are currently walking and implicitly the paths we could yet choose to take. So, as we navigate an increasingly complex and uncertain world, perhaps the true power of these ancient Sumerian tablets lies not in predicting a fixed destiny, but in serving as a timeless warning and a profound guide. They urge us to look inward, to reevaluate our priorities, and to remember the fundamental truths that underpinned the earliest human civilizations. The future, they seem to whisper across the millennia, is not written in stone, but in the choices we make, moment by moment, generation by generation. The EdenArchive doesn't just reveal what might happen, it asks us what we will do about it.